Hello folks, Italo here. In this video I'll do a little exercise here in Illustrator. So I have this logo. This is a fake logo, this is not a real logo. But in this exercise I will show you guys a little bit of the design process, some things involved when you're creating a logo, when you're designing a logo in Illustrator. So we'll use some of the tools that are available to us in Illustrator and apply that here with some design thoughts along the way and some things that you can do to create a logo. Okay. All right. So I will hide this guy. This is just kind of the final result or something close to that we can do that we'll get in the end. So as you saw my logo here, it is a camera and then I have this brand name, shutter and light. I will start with the camera to recreate it and then we can get going. So I have two layers here, one with my original logo and another one with for the logo as I'm recreating it. Okay, so the first thing I'll do here is to draw a rectangle. So this will be the base for my camera. I'll go back to my properties layer and I will actually here on the toolbar, I will switch colors because I want this green that I have previously selected to be my stroke color. And at this point, I can leave the fill just transparent, just without any colors applied, because I just want to change. I just want to work on the stroke at this point. So I chose I have the color. I will change the weight to 10 points. So notice that if you click this here on the properties panel, this stroke name, you will find more options. Out here you just have the weight, but also you can also change a few aspects of the stroke. You can change the cap look, so it can be butt cap or round cap or projecting cap. This won't make any difference in this case just because it's a closed path. So this will apply to the ends of my path, and in this case it's closed, so it won't make any difference. However, excuse me, so I can also change the corner. So I have some options here. If I want these corners to be round, I can click this mid button here and notice, I'll zoom in a little bit. So they behave in different ways. So it can be bevel like this or round, and that's what I want. I want it to be round. So I will select this option, and you can also change this option here, align stroke. So you can have, as we have it here, the path itself is exactly in the middle of the stroke. So this is the first option, but I can select the other options as well. So if I want the path to be out, or actually the stroke to be inside the path, this is the second option. And the third option is for the stroke to be outside the path. In this case, I can just leave it as to align to center. That's okay. All right, so this is the base of my camera, and then I will create another rectangle here for the top part. Okay, so this will be a smaller rectangle. Here I will merge these two here. I will unite them. So make sure you have the base, this path here, the base of your rectangle touching exactly, either touching or overlapping with the bottom rectangle, the big rectangle here. So we are able to unite them. So I have them both of them selected here. If I go back to my properties panel, I have this Pathfinder option, and the first one is to unite them. So I have this here. There is also one panel for Pathfinder. So if you can't see it, if you don't have it here, you can also go here back to Window and search for Pathfinder. So if you click it here, you can find this there. But it's also here in the Properties panel. So if I click the first button here, this will unite them and merge them into a single object. Okay, I just want to move these two anchor points over inside a little bit. So let's do that. I will select my anchor points. Sorry, before I won't do that now, just because I want to make sure these two objects, and I kind of skip this this step. So I want to make sure that these two objects are aligned center before I unite them. So with both of them selected, you can click here, also here in the properties panel, you can align center. So this way you make sure their centers are aligned, and now I can unite them. Okay, now I will select these two anchor points here. I'm shift selecting to select both. And there is one option here in my toolbar that is the scale tool. So if I select this scale tool here, you can see that the center of this is one tool that I can use to scale objects, and you can see the center is already here. So if I hit return or enter on the keyboard, this will give me this prompt, and I can select if I want to move them uniformly. I can just select maybe a percentage here. You can do uniform, non-uniform as well. What I want in this case is 70%. You have a few options here. You can preview or not. And when you're happy with the result, you can just click OK, and there you go. It's done. Okay, so I have the body of my camera. It's pretty much done. And I can continue. So the next thing I'll do here is to create the button. So I will create a button here for my camera and the flash. Okay, so I have a button and a flash. I will I will draw a line here for the grip. All right, so if you want to make sure, like in this case here, let's say I want to have this line aligned to the center with the center of my button, so I can select them both. I could click the button here, this object, to make sure this is my key object, and then I can go back here to align under properties and align center. So you can see that the center of the button didn't move at all, and its center is centered with the line that I have just created. All right, so the next thing to do would be I can use the ellipse tool to create the lens now. So I could click here and start drawing. If I hold shift before I release, I'm not letting go the mouse button, and while I'm drawing the circle, I'm holding shift, so the aspect ratio is 1:1. And if I hold shift and also option or alt on the keyboard, then I can scale it up uniformly, having the original point as the center of my object. All right, and there we go. This looks good for my lens. I could select the line and again make the line my key object. So you click, once you select one object, the next one, and if you click one of them, you make it a key object. You can also check this here. So align to key object, and make this one, make sure you click this one to make it your key object. And then I can make this vertical align center option if I want to make sure these objects are aligned. So these are the kinds of details that you wanna make sure you do when you're creating a logo. So to find some harmony, some good proportions, balance. It's always a good idea to try to find, you see, elements and some alignment between them for good harmony and balance. All right, so I have my camera. It's pretty much done. I could now change the look of it. It's pretty much the same thing for everything, same look for everything. So maybe this button here could be like solid color applied to it. I could change. So notice here, if you zoom in and select the rectangle, you can see these dots here. If you move them, you can quickly have round corners on your object. So this is interesting. I could maybe increase the weight a little bit, maybe on everything, for some consistency. All right, now one thing that I could do here would be maybe to add some gradient. So I will select my camera here, and I can select the gradient tool. And if I click on it, it will quickly apply this gradient. This is just a standard gradient, white to black. But you will see that we have this slider here. And if we move this slider, this bar, again, with the gradient tool selected, you can change the look of the appearance of your gradient. All right, so let's say I wanna, or if you want to, you can also click and drag and redefine this slider here. Also, if you go here to gradient, you can see a few more options that you have. So the first one and the default option is linear, but you can also have radial, and there is also this freeform gradient, which will let you define some random points, so you can create as many points as you want, and you can change the colors on each one of them on these stops to modify the look of your gradient. So I'll just go back to this radial gradient, because that's the one I want to work with, and I will make the flash here the center of my gradient. If you double click, so this bar here that you can see is the same bar we see represented here. So you can either change the look on the gradient by sliding these circles over. So these are the stops for the gradient. You can change the transition as well by moving this square here in the middle. So you can bring it closer to one stop or the other, or leave it somewhere in the middle. And if you double click the stops, that's how you can change the color as well. So you can select swatch, or you can select some color here with the color picker. I can leave this one white. I want to leave it white, but black, I don't want it to be black. I want it to be maybe the same green as I have on my stroke. but I could move it over beyond the object, maybe to create something like this. Okay, could be something like this. All right. Okay, it's looking okay, pretty good so far. So I could also apply some gradient here to the lens. I will do the same. So I can click it here, go to my gradients panel. In this case, I could change this to blue. So I have this other blue here. One little tip, it's good for you to, one idea is to go online and check for there are a few websites that you can use to work with the color wheel to find some good color harmony. I always talk about this. One option that is available, since you're already using Adobe Illustrator, so you probably have an Adobe account. So one option that is available and is pretty good, works well, and you can use this to save some color schemes and add to your library. So you can load it up on Adobe products to work with. Is Adobe Color, so color.adobe.com, and you'll find this. And one of the tools here on this website is the color wheel. So here you can select a color harmony that you want. So there's a list of them here. In this case, I've selected analogous. I pasted the green here as my primary color, and it brought me a few more colors here that I can work with. So I selected, not sure now if it was, I think it was this one. So I copied it and brought it over here on Illustrator. So that's how I got the blue for this. All right, so I will modify the gradient here to have maybe the focal, the bright point, the white stop here near the bottom, just because I will add some text here, the brand name. So I want the gradient kind of to point out to the text below my icon here. So this could be one way to explore that, to explore this focal point, create that transition here, and kind of create a movement that will it will be a subtle way to point out to the text here underneath. All right, so this looks okay to me so far. I will go over and start creating some text here. So the name of my brand is Shutter and Light. So one thing to keep in mind when you're working with logos, avoid creating text boxes, because text boxes, they are a little bit harder to work for this. You want to have some flexibility to resize the elements like this. And the best way to do that is by selecting, creating a text element just by clicking and releasing the button. So you create a text that you can, it's not a text box, it's a text object, a little bit with more freedom like that. So I have shutter. I will create one object for this, and if you do command return, this is a quick way to finish editing the text element. I will copy this and rename it as light. All right. Okay, so at this point, let me move everything a little bit up. So at this point, what I have here is my icon, which is a little bit big. It could be a little bit slightly smaller. And now I have my brand name as well. So aim for consistency In this case here, I wanna work with the same color. So shutter will be, for shutter, I will use the same swatch here, this green. So I just selected the text, clicked here on the swatches panel and selected the green. Light could be the same blue as I have here on my gradient. And this, and I think it could be slightly smaller. I don't want it to be one of the focal points. It's just one extra element, but it could be slightly smaller. And also black is too strong. I don't want it to be black. So instead of black, I could have maybe a shade of gray to have it a little bit more, yeah, a little bit lighter like that. And I'm playing a little bit with the light. I also used this blue here because it's lighter. So playing with the concept. So some things that you want to explore, find ways to work with when you're creating the logo is that, so you can, yeah, brainstorm, of course, and think about ideas, think of ideas and ways to create your logo, and how you can represent some concepts, translate that into elements, into colors, and make it all come together in a meaningful way. So logos, they should have that. Okay, so shutter, it's more solid, a solid color, a little bit darker. Light is brighter, so it's this bright blue here, and is not too relevant in my logo. I don't want it to take too much attention here. So I'm just using this neutral color, this shade of gray. All right. Okay, so looking at this, it's already not too bad. However, we have, it's really, balance is not too good here. So the icon is still too big compared to the brand name, to the word mark. So I can make it all a little bit bigger. So remember to hold Shift. If you don't hold Shift, it will start distorting the text. You don't want to do that. So hold Shift when you're scaling the object. And then you can try to find ways to work with alignment and create something that is cohesive, well-aligned, proportional. And one way to do that is to bring some guides, some guidelines for us here in Illustrator. So I can see my ruler here. If you can't, you can do Command R or Control R to hide or show the ruler. Another way to find the ruler is here under View on the top menu. And then you can see rulers. So you have it here as well, hide rulers. The shortcut is Command R. I will bring now, let's see if we can find ways to, adjust the alignment here on this logo. Okay, I already see that there is some interesting thing happening here. So the H, the proportion already looks better, I would say. Let me lock the guides. So right click, you can lock or unlock guides here. I think this is already a good idea to align the H, or maybe this side of the S, make it touch this guide. So you need to experiment and see what looks better. So maybe I could also, so this could be one way, to find some alignment here. Okay, so shutter seems to be okay. The proportion doesn't look too bad. So if you compare the image, the picture size, the icon, the size of the icon, and this, it's pretty well balanced. It's very close. So I'll just move it over here just to show it's fairly the same size. The icon is not too heavy, and again, I use the gradient here intentionally to try to point out to the shutter, to the to this word, to the word mark. The gradient is contributing to that. Okay, so shutter looks okay to me. Maybe I can do some fine tuning here on light now. One thing that I liked about this font here, so this font is Big City, black, and it has this interesting movement. I thought it would match well with my logo. It's sleek, and I like the curves here. I also like how this, so the T here is creating this movement, and there is some continuation here if you look at light. So could be one idea maybe to bring it a little bit closer, but if I bring it too close, I can see the I is touching the U, so maybe this is too close. But creating this effect here seems to be a cool element on my logo. Okay, maybe this could be a good place for it. So when you're designing the logo, it's a lot about that, finding the right alignment, and yeah, creating those guides help you a lot to find that connection. So it ends up being harmonious and looks interesting. All right, so I will do command semicolon here just to hide the guides. This is a separate element, so I still need to find a good place for it. I could align top. All right. And maybe like this. So the baseline is is kind of aligned to this L. I could again bring another guideline here to see if it's sitting well. Okay, it looks okay, not too bad. And then at this point, it's already looking good. It looks good to me. It's not super fancy. This is a very simple logo. This is one simple exercise for example for this assignment, for this exercise. So yeah, it looks okay. I could try to make some adjustments here to the stroke weight, maybe to find a better balance. This is a very thick, this is a black font, so this is very thick. So to find a good balance, harmony between the icon here and the word mark, maybe this doesn't need to be too thick, neither this one. Okay, so those are the final touches that you need to do in your logo to finalize it. Another thing that you could do at this point would be, so we need to define this space here. One way to do that could be to use, again, something from within my logo here as my reference. So I could maybe make this, check the width of this L letter here. So I'm creating a supporting object. I don't need the stroke on this. So I just created this square here. I'm not being too precise, but it's just so you get the idea. So this could be a measure that I could use as a reference to see if if the distance here works well, if this is consistent. So I could define this as my X measure, my X element, and it wasn't very intentional, but it ended up not being too far from it. So you see what I'm saying? Let me bring a couple more guidelines here. So I have, this is my X measure, So this is common when you're designing a logo, to define an X unit for it, for you to work with. So this could be my X unit. And so here I'm saying that I'm working with this unit being doubled. So double this space, and then I can move it down maybe a little bit. I'll just delete it or move them here off to the side. So as you can see, it's already pretty close, but I could move it down a little bit so it touches that. All right, yeah, this doesn't look too bad. So I can just delete this for now. And there we go. So these are the kinds I just wanted to cover here in this video, a few of the things that we need to consider as we are designing our logos, to find some ways. Also, of course, the tools that I've used here, but mainly show a little bit about the design process. It ended up not being, so I have, this space is really big compared to this one. I could have this adjusted slightly, have this slightly adjusted, and then I could use my X unit again here, maybe to define this space between the baseline and the ascender here for light. So I could bring that same X unit and apply it here for this spacing. Okay, so this is, yeah, I think that's it. So thanks for watching, and I hope these thoughts help you design your logos and make them look more harmonious, and not just prettier, but more balanced and looking good as well.